Every zodiac sign has a dark side. Not evil, just the part of you you try not to look at. The version of you that shows up when you're hurt, jealous, or trying to protect yourself. And we all have it. In this video, I want to go deep into the dark side of every zodiac sign. Not to call it out, but to finally understand it. And I'm your host, Alina. And by the end of this video, you'll see something that most astrology videos never touch. The hidden pattern that connects every sign's shadow. Once you see how your sign protects you, you realize it's not sabotage, it's survival. Aries lashes out to feel in control. Virgo overthinks to feel safe. Scorpio controls so they don't get betrayed again. We all do it, just in different ways. But here's the part that most people miss. Your dark side is not the problem. It's the pattern. The one running your life when you're not even aware of it. So let's start with Aries, the fighter who fears losing control. Aries, you don't get angry for no reason. You get angry because it's the only emotion that makes you feel safe. When something hurts, you turn it into fire. It's easier to explode than to admit you feel powerless. That's not you being dramatic, that's you trying to protect yourself. If you can stay one step ahead, you don't have to feel the fear underneath. That fire is not rage, it's defense. It's your way of saying, don't dismiss me, don't forget me. You'd rather start a fight than feel invisible. Anger makes you feel strong when everything else feels uncertain. But once you learn to pause before reacting, everything changes. Because when you stop burning bridges just to feel powerful, you realize you were never powerless in the first place. And Aries isn't the only one who struggles with control. Some signs, they don't fight, they hold on. They don't burn bridges, they build walls. Taurus, you look calm on the outside, but inside, you're bracing. You hold on to people, routines, memories. Because change, it feels like losing safety. It's not stubbornness, it's self-protection. You tell yourself you're just being loyal, but really you're scared of what happens if you let go. Because at some point, stability became your survival skill. When everything felt uncertain, you learned that consistency equals control. But sometimes that loyalty turns into attachment. You'll stay in something that stopped fitting a long time ago, just because the unknown feels worse than unhappy. Here's the truth. Safety doesn't always mean stillness. The world isn't trying to take your peace. It's trying to expand it. Once you trust that you can handle what's changing, you'll stop clinging out of fear and start choosing out of faith. Some signs hold on for safety. Others, they run from it. Gemini, you don't talk just to talk. You talk to feel safe. Every joke, every story, every deep but not too deep conversation. It's just a way to stay one step ahead of your own thoughts. Because silence feels like exposure, and vulnerability, that's the one thing you can't charm your way through. When things get too real, you change the subject. Make it funny. Explain it instead of feeling it. That's not being flaky, that's being protective. You learned that understanding things fast was safer than feeling them slow. But here's the thing, your words aren't noise. They're wisdom, waiting for space to land. Once you stop explaining everything and actually sit in the feeling, your thoughts turn into truth. You don't need all the answers. You just need to stay curious, even when it's uncomfortable. You ever notice how every sign has its own way of pretending it doesn't hurt? I used to say things like, I'm fine, I just need space. But that wasn't my strength, it was my armor. When something ended, a relationship, a friendship, I'd go straight into logic mode. Gemini Sun, Capricorn Moon. I'd analyze it, explain it, intellectualize the pain. Anything but feel it. And from the outside, it always looked like control. But really, that was just me not trying to fall apart. Every sign has a version of that. Aries fights, Taurus freezes, Gemini deflects. Different reactions, same fear, losing control. And once you start to see your pattern, it stops running your life. And some signs, they don't hide from their feelings, they become them. Cancer, you feel everything. Your pain, their pain, even energy in the room. You love so hard because deep down you learned love had to be earned. If you're needed, you can't be left. That's dark psychology of Cancer, overgiven as protection. You pour into everyone hoping it will make you safe, but instead it just leaves you empty. You think nurturing keeps you loved, but it really keeps you tired. Here's the truth. Real love doesn't need proof. You don't have to hold everyone together to be worthy of being held. The moment you give yourself same care you give everyone else, everything changes. Your love stops being self-sacrifice and becomes self-respect. Some signs protect their hearts by shutting down, but this next sign, when their heart breaks, they turn up the light. Leo, you don't crave attention, you crave connection. But somewhere along the way, you learned that those can look the same. When you feel unseen, you perform. You smile bigger, talk louder, shine harder. You turn pain into charisma because it feels safer than admitting it hurt. That's Leo's shadow, shining as self-protection. You make everyone feel special, secretly hoping someone will make you feel the same. But when no one does, pride steps in. The "I don't need anyone" mask that hides heartbreak. Here's the truth. Your light doesn't come from being noticed. It comes from being real. The moment you stop performing for approval and start showing up as yourself, the right people will see you, even when the lights are off. Because Leo's magic is not in the spotlight. It's in the glow that never goes out. Virgo, you notice everything, every flaw, every mistake, every little thing no one else sees, and somehow it all becomes your job to fix. On the outside, you look calm, but inside, your brain is sprinting. Because if you can catch every flaw, maybe you won't have to feel like one. That's Virgo's shadow, control through protection. You don't overthink because you want to. You do because you care. Because somewhere along the way, being useful meant being safe. But you're not here to hold everything together. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to be messy. You don't need to earn love through precision. You deserve it just by existing. When you stop trying to fix everything, you finally start healing. Libra, you just want things to feel okay. You want harmony, the energy to flow, everyone to smile, no tension in the room. But sometimes keeping the peace means losing yourself in the process. You read people without even trying. Their tone, their silence, their vibe. And before you even realize it, you're adjusting, making yourself smaller, softer, easier to love. That's Libra's shadow. Harmony as self-protection. It's not fake. It's fear. Because when things get tense, your nervous system remembers every time love turned cold. So you smile instead of speak. You smooth things over, hoping it will make you safe again. But peace built on silence doesn't last. It just keeps you invisible. And here's the truth. Real balance isn't about avoiding storms. It's about knowing you can stand through them. When you stop trying to be easy to love and start being honest, the whole dynamic changes. Because people don't fall in love with your peacekeeping. They fall in love with your truth. And while some signs avoid the dark completely, Scorpio, they walk straight into it. Not because they like chaos, but because that's where they find clarity. Scorpio, you feel things most people never notice. A change in energy, a shift in tone. The moment someone stops being real with you, you just know. You crave honesty, but you don't always trust it. Because someone at some point used your vulnerability against you. And ever since then, you've promised yourself, never again. That's Scorpio's shadow, control as protection. You don't test people for fun. You test them to see who's safe, to know who will stay when it gets heavy. You don't mean to be guarded, it's just survival. If you can't predict pain, maybe you can prevent it. But here's the truth. You can't control transformation. You are transformation. Every ending you've survived has rebuilt you stronger. Every heartbreak became a rebirth. Every betrayal turned into a boundary. You don't destroy, you alchemize. And that's your real power. Once you stop trying to predict pain, you stop living in survival mode and start living in purpose. Because Scorpio's magic isn't control, it's resurrection. You don't fear the dark, you are the dark. And you make it beautiful. After Scorpio burns it all down, Sagittarius shows up laughing, pretending it never hurt. But their freedom is not always peace. Sometimes it's escape. Sagittarius, you're the one who always says, I'll figure it out later. And you usually do. But sometimes later just means never feeling it. You call it freedom, adventure, growth. But sometimes you're not running towards something. You're running from something. That's Sagittarius' shadow, meaning as a mask. You turn pain into philosophy, heartbreak into humor. If it sounds wise, maybe it won't hurt as much. Stillness feels like danger to you, because if you stop moving, the feelings might catch up. But real freedom isn't about escaping. It's about staying and trusting. You won't lose yourself when you do. You don't have to keep pretending you're fine to stay strong. You're strong when you stop running and let the truth catch up. Because the real adventure, it's not out there. It's in here. And when Sagittarius runs, Capricorn builds walls. Not out of pride, but out of fear. Capricorn, you've been the strong one for so long that you almost forgot what softness feels like. You don't fall apart. You plan. You don't cry. You organize. You don't ask for help. You just quietly handle it. And everyone calls that strength. But you know it's really survival. That's Capricorn's shadow. Control is protection. You learned early that emotions don't fix things. Effort does. So you became the one who keeps it together no matter what. But here's the thing no one sees. That strength gets heavy. Because when you're the one holding it all, who's holding you? Your shadow isn't coldness, it's exhaustion. It's the quiet fear that if you stop working, everything will fall apart. That if you're not useful, you're not worthy. But you don't have to earn safety and you don't have to perform strength. You deserve rest, softness, and love, even when you're not achieving anything. When you stop confusing control with security, your real power shows up. The power to trust, to rest, to let go. When you finally exhale, the world doesn't crumble, it catches you. And where Capricorn builds walls to feel safe, Aquarius builds distance. Because sometimes it's easier to be the observer than to risk being the one who feels too much. Aquarius, you've probably heard it. You're so independent, you don't need anyone, you're different. And maybe that's true. Or maybe that's just what you've told yourself to stay safe. Because the truth is, you care deeply. You just learned that being misunderstood hurts worse than being alone. So now you analyze instead of feel. You intellectualize everything, even love. Because logic feels safer than heartbreak. That's Aquarius' shadow. Distance disguised as freedom. You crave connection, but on your terms. You want to be seen, but not exposed. That back and forth, come close but not too close, that's your armor. But vulnerability doesn't erase who you are. It expands you. Letting someone else in doesn't make you less free. It gives your freedom meaning. You don't have to choose between connection and individuality. You can have both. once you stop hiding behind the idea that you're above needing anyone. Your strength isn't in staying detached. It's in staying open without losing yourself. Where Aquarius distances to stay safe, Pisces dissolves completely. Because when the world feels too heavy, they don't fight it. They disappear into everyone else's emotions. Pisces, you feel everything. Yours, theirs, even what no one else says out loud. It's a gift, but sometimes it's too much. When the world gets real, you don't fight it. You float. You disappear into music, memories, daydreams, anything softer than what's real. That's Pisces' shadow, disappearing as protection. You merge with other people's pain because it feels safer than sitting with your own. You tell yourself, if I can heal them, maybe I'll feel better too. But that's how you lose yourself. Little by little, piece by piece, until you carry emotions that were never yours. You forgive too easily, you say it's okay when it's not. You call it compassion, but sometimes it's self-erasure. You don't run from reality because you're weak. You run because you feel everything. Here's the truth. You can't save people by drowning with them. You came here to bring light to the dark, not to live in it. Once you stop absorbing everyone else's pain, your empathy stops being a burden and becomes your superpower. You don't have to escape the world, Pisces. You're here to soften it. You see? Every sign has a pattern. It's not about being toxic or broken. It's how we learn to survive. Aries fights. Taurus holds on. Gemini deflects. Pisces disappears. Different reactions but same fear. The fear of losing control. But once you see your pattern, it stops running your life. You stop judging your shadow and learn to understand it. Because your dark side isn't trying to ruin you, it's trying to protect you. It just doesn't realize you don't need saving anymore. And thank you for watching. If you want to go deeper, watch my next video right here. And I'll see you there. Bye!